Porsche Cayenne is a supremely fast machine that blends attainable performance with relative luxury. Something that the brand has managed to do successfully for a very long time.
The heritage is very important. Our roots reach back to 1948, the first sports car with the name Porsche, and yeah, since then, 30,000 race victories, 7 generations of Porsche 911. There's no other automobile brand like this in the world.
These days, Porsche's icon is the famed 911 sports car. Yet both the marque and the machine owe their existence to a single decision made in post-World War II Germany.
Porsche had the guts to try something new. It was directly after World War II. People were building up Europe again.
At the time, most European automakers are simply trying to get back on their feet by building basic transportation. Porsche flies in the face of conventional wisdom and does the opposite.
The 356 came out in June of 1948. This car was mind-blasting. The 356 was not basic transportation, it was a sports car for connoisseurs. And especially in the very first years after World War II, yeah, people were so hungry for that.
When Hollywood discovers the 356, it launches the brand to stardom.
The American market was important in terms of the image of the brand. Especially in California, there was a very big club sport scene. And in a second step, movie stars like James Dean discovered the Porsche brand, and these movie stars were photographed in their cars, and these photos were also shown in Europe. And so the image of Porsche became changing, and from a race car manufacturer, it became a lifestyle brand.
The transition to a lifestyle brand is underscored when the marque launches the 911 in 1963.
If you ask a little boy to draw a sports car, in most cases the result will look like a Porsche 911, so maybe it's the archetype of a sports car.
The vehicle becomes an instant icon and begins the brand's manufacturing evolution from sports cars to everyday driving machines.
The idea of a sports car is changing a lot in these days. Today it's not enough to have a sports car with a high performance. A sports car must be today a reasonable car.
These days, Porsche's most rational machine might very well be the third-generation Cayenne.
The product is very emotional, and you see the product on the street, and maybe majority of the staff are car fans.
Car fans turn constructors, who are extremely efficient thanks to the integrated nature of the Bratislava site. The factory features a metal pressing facility, body shop, paint line, and final assembly hall, all in the same complex.
The 4 general operations. The first one, press shop. Then you have to put the sheet metal together to form your body. In body shop, it's welding, gluing, and other technologies. And then you have to put the color on your body, so that's a paint shop. And last but not least, you have to put all these parts to your body, and that's an assembly shop.
Today, it takes 4 basic steps to build the Cayenne, a machine that is universally accepted as a true Porsche. Yet a decade and a half ago, that wasn't exactly the case.
When the Cayenne came out, Porsche had only built sports cars up to that point, and now they were building an SUV, which is basically the complete opposite of a sports car.
At the time, the company is in dire financial straits.
By the mid-90s, they were selling maybe 10 or 12,000 cars a year.
The mid-90s drought forces drastic measures. Just like with the introduction of the 356 to a struggling post-war Europe, Porsche bucks convention once again and debuts their very first SUV.
Porsche took a gamble and said, we're going to make the Porsche of SUVs.
The move is met with harsh reactions from the fanboys and the faithful.
When Porsche decided to introduce the Cayenne, I'm trying to find the words of anger to describe to you what I felt, because it was like violation, anger, and then this disbelief that they could possibly be that stupid to kill their entire company over volume.
The purists lost their minds. No one was sure what to make of the Cayenne when it first came out. A Porsche SUV. Is it just an SUV with a Porsche crest on the front of it? Does it actually do anything? Can it go off-road? Can it go around a racetrack?
What we saw was a shift in the way Porsche thought of itself. Rather than the maker of a sports car, they were going to be making cars that happened to be the sportiest in their individual segments. And that was a fundamental shift.
Some of the Porsche devoted saw it as they've completely lost their way. There was some fear it was going to kill the brand.
Now they're saying we're going to build an SUV, the antithesis of the sports car. It's big and tall and top-heavy. It's got 4 doors. It doesn't scream around a corner. It doesn't go on a racetrack. Like, why? Why would Porsche, of all companies, make something like that? That's not what they do.
Before the purists calm down, the Cayenne becomes the best-selling machine the Marque has ever produced. Instead of destroying the brand, it saves it.
Suddenly, overnight, the practical Porsche was born, and sales just exploded. You didn't have to give up practicality. You could buy a Porsche and drive it around every day.
It didn't create the segment. There were luxury SUVs before the Cayenne, but it exploded it. It made the segment real. It made it popular. It showed everyone else that you could do it.
The machine stays true to the company's roots, and sales explode.
To Porsche's credit, they made the Cayenne handle well, they made it powerful, and they gave it off-road chops too. So it sort of could do everything.
They did it, and man, that'd be like buying Apple stock in like 1984. If you could have somehow known, if you had bought Porsche stock in 2002 and sat on it for 20 years, it'd be a whole different world for you right now.
The machine offers practicality done the Porsche way.
Part of the Cayenne's success and why it worked is because it was incredibly powerful. The first turbo had over 400 horsepower. The Cayenne sort of brought the idea that you could do a twin-turbo V8 SUV.
The engine wins over buyers, but some still question the looks.
I think the greatest shock was what it looked like. The front end looked like very 911-ish. They wanted there to be a familiar connection. And it was sort of split how people felt about how it looked. I personally liked the way it looked. I thought it was always a cool, interesting-looking SUV, but a lot of people were kind of horrified by it.
While the appearance is debatable, the machine's success is not.
Porsche is profitable today largely because of the success of the Cayenne.
The Cayenne doesn't just save the brand, it also transforms the entire auto industry.
So there was some risk involved when Porsche launched the Cayenne, as no one had ever seen a Porsche SUV. But now that everyone is following Porsche's playbook and every luxury brand has an SUV, they face a lot more competition. So they have to stay relevant, they have to stay on top of their game.
Trying to stay on top continues today inside the Cayenne body shop, where it takes just 11 hours to manufacture a shell.
The takt time in this bodywork manufacture is about 2.5 minutes.
The factory is fast, pumping out 400 new bodies every day, thanks to an army of robotic help.
Altogether, there were 750 robots installed in our body manufacture.
The automation is crucial for the third gen because the body is primarily built from aluminium.
The robots which are working here are able to do individual activities within a few tenths of a millimeter precision.
Building up a body begins by assembling the undercarriage, where the front, middle, and rear floor sections are welded together.
At the moment, we are in the manufacturing line of the outside panels. We also use electro-welding of aluminium in this line. It is an advanced welding technology.
Finished sides are moved to the framing station, where they meet the completed floor pan and are screwed into place. Next, the body heads to the hanging line, where man replaces machine.
We are at the line where the door is installed. It is the final station in the bodywork manufacture. Then they hand the bodywork over to the painting department.
Once the doors are added, another set of craftspeople screw the bonnet and rear hatch into place.
Yes, it's a station where you see hardly any robots. Only at the end of the line are there 4 robots which control the measurement of the bodywork. So everything in this station is done by hands, by manual work. All the parts assembled in the bodywork are controlled. They are fine-tuned so we could ensure the best quality.
The finished body heads directly to the paint shop, where it will take another 88 robots and 18 hours to colour a Cayenne.
At the moment, we are in the paint shop. We get the body from the body shop and put them through individual steps of the process here. We do the surface treatment painting and final paint.
The bare metal bodies are primed. Then a set of electrostatic robots spin some colour at 50,000 revolutions a minute.
Where we are at the moment is a workplace for applying the basic color. We can imagine that the basic layer is as thick as the thickness of a hair.
Finally, each shell receives its clear coat. Even though the final machines glimmer, it's the people working at the factory that shine.
It's hardly imaginable, of course. It was my dream when I was a small child to have a Porsche car one day. I could not have imagined that I could drive a Porsche or to build one as I am today.
Four-wheel drive dreams that often end up in driveways around the world. Yet surprisingly, the Cayenne isn't the Marque's first attempt at an off-road machine.